Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Linda Dick. I'm one of the many volunteers that helps create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 117, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. And the Neepawa banner and press for Friday, April 22nd, 2022. Spring Blizzard Blankets Neepawa. A large snowstorm passed through Neepawa and surrounding area for several days before and during the Easter long weekend. Pictured on the front page is Cody Chikulski. He started clearing away a large swath of snow that accumulated in front of the Town of Neepawa Administration Office. Cody and Justin Chikulski, as well as many other individuals who worked to clear the roads and streets, were kept quite busy. And by Evan Devereaux, the entire southern region of province deals with severe snowstorm. Although this past weekend was supposed to be a celebration of Easter, it had a distinctively more Christmassy feel to it than many of us would have preferred. That's because a powerful Colorado low pressure system passed through the prairies late last week, dropping large amounts of snow across all of southern Manitoba. Areas from the American border all the way to just north of Dauphin were impacted. Environment Canada indicated that the total snowfall amounts varied wildly across the province. Winnipeg received between 20 and 30 centimeters, while there was an estimated 80 centimeters on the ground around Onanol. Killarney and Selkirk were also hit hard with 60 and 45 centimeters. And for Neepawa and nearby communities, the initial estimates suggest an average snowfall of about 24 centimeters. While that amount was less than other areas had experienced, open areas still had to deal with the strong winds, causing blowing snow and near zero visibility. The Manitoba Agriculture Weather Network recorded gusts close to Minnedosa at their peak at 81 kilometers per hour. The specific number for Neepawa was not cited in the network report. However, it did indicate further east saw winds top out in the low 60s. The province received a short reprieve on Saturday, April 16th, with a return of sunshine. That was short-lived, however, as Easter Sunday saw more snowfall. As of Monday, April 18th, Environment Canada was predicting more sunshine for the early and mid part of the week, but more snow and gusty conditions as the week progressed. Long-term models were also suggesting that another significant Colorado low will be passing across southern Manitoba this weekend, April 22nd to the 24th, with a probability of more than 25 millimeters of additional precipitation over the next week. Whether or not that precipitation is simply rain or more snow is yet to be seen. Highways across southern Manitoba were near zero visibility for extended periods during the blizzard, including near Neepawa. Pictured is the view from the RCMP cruiser during the peak of the storm on Thursday, April 14th. Are snowpiles affecting business? Article by Casper Wareham. Whenever there's snow, snow clearing is sure to follow. And with snow clearing often come snow piles on the streets. After the recent Easter weekend storm, Neepawa's downtown is no exception. With these snow piles and their locations in mind, the Banner and Press reached out via phone, email, and social media on April 18th to see if they are having an impact on businesses. From the 3 responses received, there was 2 who said they were observing or expecting little to no effect on their operations. The storm affected us in regard to business hours on Thursday, April 14th, which was to be expected, but the snow removal is not affecting our business in an adverse way, said Brad Walker, co-owner of Gill & Small. It will take some time to remove this amount of snow accumulation, so some patience and understanding is needed. Nelson Jackson, owner of Neepawa Pharmacy, provided a similar response. However, he did have concerns. People are getting around the snow piles, but I'm worried that they may cause accidents, said Jackson, especially because of how high they are. I had a close call myself where I had to slam on the brakes to avoid getting into an accident. Everyone will need to be extra cautious for sure. For Brews Brothers Bistro, the snow piles proved to be an obstacle. Employee Samantha Boswell told the Banner and Press that although there is parking in the front, there are 2 other businesses near them that need to use that parking as well. We have the side street for parking, but right now it's occupied by a 5-foot wide pile of snow. So the closest parking we'd have would likely be down at the old co-op building, the Salvation Army. But they pile snow there too, said Boswell. I think it really discourages people from even considering coming down here. She added, we also receive freight using our side parking, but they haven't been able to get in, or it's been difficult to receive because of the snow piled up there. Removal of the snow piles began on Tuesday morning, with more snow expected to hit over the weekend of April 23rd. And by Evan Devereaux, circus is scheduled for Neepawa in May. For the first time in well over 2 years, Neepawa will serve as host to a major international attraction. The Great Benjamin Circus has confirmed it will stage a pair of shows at the Yellowhead Center grounds on Saturday, May 14th. A family-owned and operated business, Great Benjamin Circus, features several live acts throughout its 90-minute show, ranging from motorcycle stunts to a human cannonball, an acrobatic act called the Wheel of Destiny. The Neepawa shows will be scheduled for 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Rotary Club is having a used book sale May 3rd to the 5th, 2022 at the Yellowhead Arena, 2 o'clock p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. each day. Come out and get your books. Area students winners at the 52nd Manitoba Science Fair by Casper Wareham. The 52nd Annual Western Manitoba Science Fair concluded recently. The fair had a whopping 203 students from 11 different schools participating. Of these participants, there was a number from the Neepawa Area Collegiate and Brookdale School, who placed 3 in their sections, top 3 in their sections. These winners were, for regular awards, 1 to 2 group, silver, Liam Cleaver and Gabrielle Chiapka. Brookdale School, 3 to 4, individual silver, Jace Kerman-Lowen. Brookdale School, 5 to 6 individual, bronze, Liam Dennis. Brookdale School, 7 to 8 individual, gold, Sean Dennis. 7 to 8 group, silver, Jesse Kerman Lowen, and Lucas Rose, Brookdale School. 9 to 10 group, bronze, Haley Dennis and Emily May, Neepawa Collegiate and Brookdale School. Special awards winners went to Liam Dennis, Brookdale School, Medical Laboratory Technology Award, Samia Uri and Sophie McDonald, Brookdale School, Rotary Club of Brandon, Sunset Award, Emily May and Haley Ennis, Brookdale School and NACI, Larry Bidlake Natural Resource Conservation Award. There was 50 judges present to interview all the participating students. While last year's fair was held virtually, a modified in-person fair was able to be held this year. This meant that after students competed locally, they moved up the regionals held in the Health Living Center at the Brandon University. And according to Science Fair Committee member Robin Forsman, the excitement was palpable. It was awesome. You felt a buzz of excitement from all the kids involved. They were all excited to share their projects with each other and with the judges, said Forsman. The return to an in-person event was a benefit for the planning committee, students, and judges as well. When we were planning, it was certainly a lot easier to plan an in-person event compared to the virtual version. We had a lot more people who were able to participate as well. Because we did have a noticeable difference in participation levels last year for the virtual edition. The judges, too, were able to interact with students easier and ask them questions to get them thinking more and take that thinking to the next level. In her closing thoughts, Forsman extended her congratulations to all participants from the Beautiful Plains School Division, stating, "I look forward to seeing what they come up with next year. I'd also like to encourage on behalf of the schools and the fair committee more schools to get involved." Or if a student wants to get involved but their school isn't a participant, to check out the fair website and see how we can help them get involved. To find out more about the Western Manitoba Science Fair, all are encouraged to go to www.wmsf.com. The Chris Giddoni Band will be in concert at the Neepawa Legion on Saturday, April 23rd at 7:30. Tickets are $20 in advance, $25 at the door, and advance tickets are available at Arts Forward. Right in the Center by Ken Waddell. It never seems to end. We are being plagued with problems that never seem to end. The latest is winter. Last week's big snow and blow was a blockade to what we assumed might be a normal spring. As this column is being written on Tuesday morning, 2 more storms are in the forecast. Seems like crop seeding and gardening will have to wait for a little longer. If it's any consolation, spring has come late before, and it has come a lot earlier. In contrast to this spring, I can well remember a March 29th in the 70s when my fall-seeded alfalfa crop was in the 3 to 5 leaf stage on that date. This year, you can hardly find the field, let alone any green sprouts. The most annoying thing about the everlasting swings in weather is not that they are happening, but that people are amazed or alarmed that the swings are happening. It has always been thus, with one season being different than another, and one decade or century being different than another. And yes, the climate changes and the earth warms up and cools down, and this will really irritate some people. But mankind's activities have a lot less to do with the changes than some media people believe. The Ice Age was not caused by mankind. Neither was the Little Ice Age. In contrast, much of our Arctic areas were once tropical. Mankind didn't cause those changes either. The other ongoing plague is how we approach COVID. As was predicted, everyone is getting COVID now. Many have been double or triple vaccinated. In contrast, there are people who were not vaccinated at all, and they have escaped COVID-19 so far. It would appear that no matter how hyped up the media health officials got themselves, the vaccine was not a cure, and not being vaccinated has had mixed results ranging between not being infected, to mildly ill, to very sick, and even death. Same effects as being vaccinated, but stats so far do show better results with being vaccinated as to not being vaccinated. As we move now to 2.5 years of battling COVID-19, a lot has been learned, but a lot has not been learned, or at least not adopted. COVID-19 is still happening in large numbers in care homes, and unending amounts of restriction contortions don't seem to be working. What is happening is that costs, stress, and effects are wearing down staff and residents. Another distressing factor that I have mentioned before is how little emphasis has been placed on treatments. In a press conference, I asked Dr. Rusin what the treatments were. He deferred to Manitoba Health, and the very short list I was given was disturbing, to say the least. That list is even more disturbing now, as many treatments have been available, but not many Many treatments have been available, but not made generally known to the public. I'm reading a book by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. titled The Real Dr. Fauci. Fauci is the very old head doctor guy in the United States, and it seems that Kennedy brands him correctly as believing if a person got COVID, they should stay home until they couldn't breathe anymore, and then go to the hospital. That seems to be what's happened to many health-compromised care home residents. It turns out there's dozens of medications, treatments, and nutritional supplements that can be applied. Some are very simple and cheap. The fact that many of these somewhat effective solutions were ridiculed by academics, politicians, the health departments, and the media is disgusting, to say the least. As I've written before, nutrition and vitamins are a major line of defense against any disease. Vitamin D, sunlight being a major one. In the winter, getting direct sunlight is tough. In a care home, it's nigh unto impossible. Vitamin D is just one treatment among many. Ignoring possible treatments and preventions for COVID is like not shoveling the snow off the sidewalks or plowing our streets or roads. It may save some time or money, but it's going to cost in the long run. Yes, the snow will eventually go away, but just like COVID, it will be back, and we better keep our snow plows, shovels, and remedies close by. And written by Rita Friesen, Homebodies. Words, words, words. Intriguing, enticing, inciting, soothing. There is a word for almost every thought and emotion. In general, words are my friends. In my early years, my ears were attuned to the English language, but also to the Low and High German languages. There was a time I could converse moderately in the common dialect of the Mennonite community, Low German. There was a time when you would not have sold me a pig in a poke in the High German language, and I could follow a Sunday morning sermon, that language of the church. Now, not so much. There are occasional phrases that I have retained, ditties that were taught to me, and snippets of songs, fun and formal. My sister, the elder, was a fluent in all three languages before she attended school, at which time she was also an easy reader. Languages still are important to her, learning the basics in several of the countries in which she lived and taught. Now she's learning Spanish because she wants to. Books are very much a part of our childhood home, some of which are no longer socially acceptable, thankfully. Little Black Sambo is a screaming example of that. My father had tucked the volume of Gone with the Wind well behind any other books in our modest library, making it all the more enticing. My dad was a farmer/teacher, or teacher/farmer, depending on which family member is consulted. He excelled in teaching English, had bits of poetry for every occasion, and appreciated Shakespeare's works, and understood the works of Robert Frost. This is a prelude to the words that intrigue me this week. Skirl, defined as a shrill sound associated most time with the bagpipes. Onomatopoeia is a process of creating a word that phonetically imitates, resembles, or suggests the sound as it describes. That is how I hear squirrel. Skirl. Onomatopoeia and alliteration outrank metaphors and similes for me. Having digressed, I will resume my chain of thoughts. I love the sound of bagpipes. They call me from wherever I am and from whatever I am doing. The other word, also relating to sound, is thrum. I love to pause and listen intently for the thrum of the earth. The word originated back in the 1500s, relating to the continuous, rhythmic, humming sound of a stringed instrument. I found a quote that captures this for me. A blessing for everyone, the chained muse. May the earth feel your love. May the thrum of the earth dance through you. May you fall in love with that dance. The other word that has enticed me this week is waft. To me, this embodies the movement of a soft, gentle fragrance moving through the air. The examples dictionaries give are not always in keeping with my perceptions. The smell of rancid fat wafted through the air. And the origin comes from the slow movement of barges up the river. Also not a distinctly pleasant scent thought. The word was very popular in the early 1800s, swooped low in usage in the late 1900s, and is now making a steady resurgence. So many words, so many uses. Enjoy your ability to speak and read. And Faithfully Yours by Neil Strojan, Why Theocracies Fail. Over the years, I shared several reflections on the relationship that should exist between people of faith and governments. I hardly ever speak about that these days because I see very few similarities between a democracy and the systems of government that existed in ancient Israel and in the times of Jesus and the apostles. From the Exodus to the time of Saul, ancient Israel was governed by a theocracy. God was their king. He spoke to the people through prophets and priests. Prophets taught people the laws of God and confronted them when they started going their own way. Priests were at the tent of the meeting to offer daily sin offerings, preside at festivals, and receive the people's tithes and offerings. That system worked well most of the time. But the ancient Israelites were not immune from the tribal conflicts and wars that were common in the years following the Exodus. Sometimes they defeated their enemies. Sometimes their enemies defeated them and put them into slavery. When they cried to God for help, He chose a judge who could quickly recruit an army, train them for battle, and lead them to victory. Those judges were people of faith who trusted God to give them the courage they needed to fight and win. And they were determined to help build a nation of faith who would obey God's laws in the future. This system, however, had one major flaw. The successors of these judges possessed neither the devotion to God nor the dedication to their people that the predecessors had. They were devoted to themselves, and they dedicated to using the people to help them satisfy their cravings for pleasure and power. Eventually, the people grew tired of being ruled by judges and asked to have a king like all the nations around them. They presented their request to Samuel, the last of ancient Israel judges. He took their request to God, who told him to give the people what they wanted. But then he added these words, "Samuel, they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from being king over them, just as they have done from the day I brought them up out of Egypt." Ancient Israel had the best king anyone could have asked for, but they rejected their divine ruler in favor of an earthly one. Sin and corruption caused their political theocracy to fail. Subsequent political theocracies suffered similar fates. During the Middle Ages, the established church attempted to impose its own form of theocratic rule. Religious authorities presided when monarchs were crowned and used the threat of excommunication to get rebel monarchs to toe the line. We don't follow these practices today. We believe in the separation of church and state. Governments should not be legislating one group as a state religion and restricting or outlawing all others. And churches should not be endorsing some candidates for election and condemning others based on religion beliefs or their positions on certain hot-button social issues. We may not be able to establish a political theocracy in Canada, but we can establish personal theocracies by acknowledging God as our King and living as citizens of two kingdoms. We govern our moral, social, and spiritual lives by the standards of Scripture. We govern our day-to-day activities by the laws of the land. But in everything we do, we seek to display the love, acceptance, and forgiveness that Jesus displayed during his time on earth. A political theocracy may fail, but a personal theocracy is an excellent way to live. And observation by Addie Oberlin. A beautiful long weekend. For some 4 days, not to have to go to work for some, for others, cleaning up piles of snow. There's also a lot of sickness going around. One of the care facilities was isolated. I'd looked forward to go and play there on Good Friday. I know some people that are worried about getting sick and missed their trip to Hawaii. They canceled the family gathering. People are frustrated, downhearted. Our plans are getting spoiled. We keep postponing our plans because of sickness or restrictions. We are not content with the situation we are in. Paul warned us for that. But my heart is still full with the knowledge that we just celebrated that Christ is alive. He died and rose again so that we can have forgiveness of sin and that a perfect life in heaven can be ours if we have accepted that we are sinners and that Christ is our Savior and Redeemer. He will give us the peace and contentment that we need. Do not delay. And I'm going to turn to the Spruce Plains RCMP. Corporal Jacob Stanton had submitted this. During the week of April 11th to April 17th, Spruce Plains RCMP dealt with 33 police activities. On April 11th, RCMP responded to a tractor fire in the municipality of Westlake Gladstone. Police were unable to reach the tractor as it was in the middle of a muddy field. Plumas Fire was able to reach the vehicle and confirmed it was not considered suspicious. Police received a report of stolen items from a storage locker in Minnedosa. The matter is still under investigation. On April 12th, RCMP received a report of a male pointing a gun out of his truck in Minnedosa. Upon further investigation, it was discovered the male had a permit to shoot crows within town limits. The male was advised not to be discharging his firearm from inside his vehicle. Police responded to a report of a possible break-and-enter to a home in Minnedosa. Police attended and have found no signs of a break-in or forced entry. It was determined that the door was not closed properly. April 13th, RCMP closed numerous highways in the area due to severe weather. Police responded to a single vehicle rollover in the municipality of Glenella Lansdowne. There were no major injuries, but the driver and passenger were taken to the hospital for assessment. Police attended a home in Minnedosa where an alarm was said to be going off for over a day. Police and fire were on scene and reached the homeowner, who was able to shut off the alarm. On April 14th, RCMP responded to a report of a suspicious vehicle in Neepawa. Checks on the vehicle were done and nothing criminal or suspicious was uncovered. Police received numerous residential alarm calls, all which were determined to be false and storm-related. On April 15th, RCMP was dispatched to a single vehicle rollover in the RM of North Cypress, Langford. The driver was cut loose of the seatbelt and sustained minor injuries. It was determined that the driver hit slush on the highway and lost control of the vehicle. Police responded to an abandoned 911 call in Plumas. The homeowner was not injured nor in need of assistance and claimed not to have called. April 16th, RCMP responded to an attempted break-and-enter to a rental property in Gladstone. No entry was gained, and there was no suspects or witnesses to the crime. The matter had insufficient evidence to proceed further. Police received a report of an individual failing to comply with an order in Minnedosa. The complainant wanted the individual spoken to, but declined further police action. April 17th, RCMP received a report of threats being uttered in Neepawa, where there was insufficient evidence to proceed further. Police responded to a garage fire at a home in Neepawa. The fire was determined to have been caused by an extension cord that had shorted and caught a mattress on fire. There was minimal property damage and the fire was deemed accidental. RCMP conducted 5 traffic enforcement actions during this reporting period. If you have any information about these crimes or any other crimes, please contact your local RCMP office or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the Neepawa and Minnedosa RCMP detachments advise that they will be limiting front counter services at the detachments until further notice. We request that you contact each detachment at Neepawa 476-7340, at Minnedosa 867-2916 to inquire about criminal record checks or to file a report. Leave a message if needed and it will be checked the following business day. "20 years ago, Monday, April 22nd, 2002, Andrew Dennis was sitting at his mother's kitchen table late Sunday evening preparing tax returns when he felt the house begin to shake. At first he thought a jet may have broken the sound barrier, but when the dishes began rattling in the cupboard, he knew it was something more serious. I'm sitting there thinking, what the heck? And suddenly the front window just lit up, Dennis said. I was looking straight at a fireball. Dennis, whose mother lives only 2.5 miles from the blaze site, knew immediately one of the gas pipelines in the area had erupted. The explosion had occurred at 11 o'clock p.m. near Brookdale and could be seen in the night sky as far away as Roblin. We have everything for your farm. So businesses have advertised for the farm, including AIM, Aerial Imagery Manitoba, Best Choice Auto Sales and Service, Boston Pizza, Christensen, lawyers, local lawyers in Portage la Prairie, McGregor, and Gladstone, now serving in Neepawa. Neepawa Gladstone Cooperative Limited, Gill & Small Agencies in Neepawa and McCreary, Roland Weir, Realty and Appraisal, KK Penner, Tire Center, Grow Farm Services, serving your growing needs. Lake Agassiz Builders, Mike Ellis and Dave LaFleur. Sunrise Credit Union, M&M Drilling, Jeff Dixon. And for all your bulk fuel needs, Neepawa Gladstone Co-op Bulk Fuel, McReal Spray-On System Limited, Ridge Road Welding, Rempel Backhoe and Gravel, Matt Rempel, Redfern, Local Crop Input Professionals, Penos Machining and Manufacturing Limited, Neepawa Tire Shop, and Minagro Agricare in Minnedosa. Everything for your farm. Now we'll turn to the sports section. Neepawa Titans hand out the year-end player awards. The Neepawa Titans handed out their 2021-22 player awards during the annual sports dinner and auction on Friday, April 8th. Numerous players were honored at the event, including Dallin Wilton, who was awarded the Titans' leading goal scorer for 53 points in 54 games. Josh Romanek received the Hardest Working Player Award. Austin Klein received the Most Valuable Player Award from Titans head coach and general manager Ken Pearson. Cody Gunderson was recognized as the Neepawa Titans' unsung hero. Kaylin Reynolds received the Most Improved Player Award. Shayna Fluker received the Gary Ridley Memorial Volunteer Award. And Landon Cameron was named the 2022 Neepawa Sportsperson of the Year. Other award winners on the night included Connor Brust, who was unable to attend the dinner. Brust was honored with the Neepawa Titans Rookie and Top Defenseman awards. And by Evan Devereaux, pair of prospects signed with the Neepawa Titans. An additional pair of players will be vying for a spot on the Neepawa Titans roster in the fall. The Junior A Hockey Club recently announced the commitments of defenseman Parker Murn and forward Riker Watt for the 22-23 MJHL season. Parker Murn is from Wisconsin and most recently played for the Sacred Heart Crusaders. In 24 games for the Crusaders, he accumulated an impressive 46 points, 7 goals, 39 assists. Mern also played 28 games with Team Wisconsin under-18 team, where he had a pair of goals and 6 assists. The 18-year-old noted via media release that he signed with the Titans because I felt it gave me the best opportunity to advance myself as a hockey player and develop my game with the coaches. I am excited for the future with the Titans, and I'm ready to get started. Neepawa Titans head coach, general manager Ken Pearson noted that the team is excited to add Parker for next season. Pearson added that he sees Mern as a smart puck-moving defenseman who should fit in nicely with the club's group of returning blue liners. Another new name for the Titans is forward Riker Watt, a 17-year-old forward from Weyburn, Saskatchewan. Last year, Watt scored 42 goals along with 28 assists to go with 118 penalty minutes for his hometown team. He also played 5 games in the PJHL Junior B League, scoring twice and adding 2 assists. Ken Pearson indicated that the coaching and scouting staff were impressed with what they saw from Riker during the Titans Spring Development Camp and has definitely earned this opportunity to make the main roster. Watt expressed his excitement for the opportunity and is looking forward to becoming part of the Neepawa community. And under obituaries, Alan Alexander Gillies, age 52, passed away suddenly on March 21st, 2022 at his residence in Neepawa. Alan is survived by his mother, Darlene, brother Neil, wife Lisa, niece Shelby, nephew Braden. Alan was predeceased by his father Warren in 2017. He will be sadly missed by many aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends, and his 2 close roommates. A celebration of life took place at the Neepawa Anglican United Ministry on Saturday, April 9th at 2 p.m., with Reverend Chad McCharles officiating. Donations may be made to the Canadian Blood Services of the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation. Clark's Funeral Home in Gladstone, McGregor is in care of arrangements. Edward Glenn Brown on Saturday, April 16th, our dad, Edward Brown of Bluff Creek, passed away peacefully in his sleep at the age of 79 years old at the McCreary Alonza Personal Care Home. Dad is survived by his son Michael, Sheila, Tanis, son-in-law Glenn, grandchildren Kayla, Cole, Adam, Madison, Tanner, Hannah, Abby, Josie, Allison, Spencer, and Julia, his brother Donnie, and many nieces and nephews. He is predeceased by his parents, Emily and Edwin Brown, brothers Albert and Cyril, sister Janet, daughter Sharon, grandsons Carter and Ashton, and numerous other brother and sister-in-laws. Funeral services for Edward will be held on Friday, April 22nd at 1 p.m. in the Kinnesota Community Hall, with Dr. Jonah Reverend Wetzel officiating. Our beloved mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother, Anne Floyd, at the age of 97, passed away peacefully at St. Rose General Hospital on April 11th, 2022. Anne is lovingly remembered and survived by her children, Ron, Pat, and Greg. Also remembering their grandmother with love are her grandchildren, John Floyd, Carla, Dylan Floyd, Jennifer and Sarah, Stephen Doan, Susan, Karen Boise, Casey, Christopher Doan, Brianna, Ryan Floyd, Brittany, Kristen Floyd, Aaron, and her 16 great-grandchildren. Funeral service for Anne will be held on Saturday, April 23rd, 2022 at Knox United Church, McCreary. Norma Windle officiated. Dr. Morgan Walter Victor Burke, beloved husband of Justine Burke, died in his home in Carberry, Manitoba on April 11th, 2022 at the age of 30, following a battle with brain cancer. Family and friends are invited to join in a celebration of Morgan's life at the Carberry Community Memorial Hall in Carberry, Manitoba on April 30th at 1 p.m. Morgan will be remembered for his kindness, helpfulness, intelligence, perseverance, care, and love. James Kelvin McClory Medcalf, known as Kelly Bell of Neepawa, Manitoba, passed away March 2nd at the Neepawa Health Center at the age of 95 years. And Lawrence Jasnik, age 84 years, of Neepawa, passed away in Minnedosa Personal Care Home, April 17th, 2022. Lawrence is survived by his wife of 60 years, Catherine, daughter Karina Jasnik of Neepawa, daughter Valerie Greer, Ken of Chadds Fort, Pennsylvania, grandsons Anthony Yu, Christopher Yu, Gregory Yu, and Nicholas Yu of Neepawa. A private family gathering will take place at a later date. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to the Minnedosa Personal Care Home Activities Department. And by Casper Wareham, Weather Delays Antique Market. The Antiques edition of Neepawa Tourism's Riverbend Market has been postponed. The event was originally scheduled to be at the Yellowhead Arena in Neepawa on April 23rd from 10 to 4 p.m. However, due to the extra snow the area received last week and the unsettled forecast being expected for this weekend, event organizer Darren Cameron noted that this was the right call. It felt prudent to postpone the market, said Cameron. With this being the inaugural event, we wanted to ensure both the safety of our vendors and patrons, as well as give everyone the best chance to experience a successful market. In the meantime, residents in the area may want to keep their winter gear at hand for a little while longer. And from the Carberry, North Cypress, Langford area, Here and There by Gladwin Scott. 'Tis the season for track and field meets, especially at the university level. 2 Westman student athletes are on track scholarships with the University of New Brunswick Reds in Fredericton, New Brunswick. Peyton Johnson from Balder, a middle distance runner, and Ben Parrott from Neepawa, a long-distance runner, have qualified their relay team and attended meets in Boston, CIS at St. John, New Brunswick, and Pennsylvania. Jostin North, 16 of Carberry, flew to Charlottetown, PEI, April 12th for the Canadian Youth Pan American Games archery trials. The Royal Bank of Canada will be closing its Deloraine branch on September 15th and consolidating with the Boissevain branch. RBC became a financial institute in Deloraine in 1980. The Warren Mercs, who won the Manitoba Cup in Verdun by edging the Boissevain Border Kings 7-6 in a sudden victory game, play in the 7th team Southeastern Manitoba League consisting of the Altona Maroons, the Winkler Royals, the Morden Bombers, the Carman Beavers, the Portage Islanders, and the Notre Dame Hawks. The Mercs, who were third in the league with an 11-5-2 record, defeated Morden in a 5-game semifinal and then swept Notre Dame in 4 games. Notre Dame sidelined Portage in the other 7-game semifinal. Warren is a small community, population of 800, 30 kilometers north of Winnipeg, and the players each pay $500 to participate. Due to the inclement weather, the sold-out Carberry Sportsman's Gala, slated for April 14th, was postponed till April 29th. This week, while most of southern Manitoba was enduring a mid-April snowstorm or blizzard depending on your location, Onanol 81 centimeters, Killarney 60 centimeters, Winnipeg 25 centimeters, some historic sports events were celebrated. On Thursday, April 14th, the Boston Bruins celebrated the 50th anniversary of the 1972 Stanley Cup Championship. Among the players who returned to celebrate and be introduced prior to the game with Ottawa was Hamiota's Dallas Smith of Florence, Arizona now. Dallas was Bobby Orr's defense partner, who played in Carberry as a 15-year-old against Gordy McPhail's Plainsmen, including Art Sear, Ben Ward, Pete Kramerchuk, Jack Roscoe, etc. Some former Neepawa players may recall playing against Smith, who was a standout in bantam hockey. After 2 years with the Estevan Bruins, Dallas was promoted to the Bruins, where he tallied his first NHL goal in the Montreal Forum as a 17-year-old. And on Friday, April 15th, all Major League Baseball players wore number 42 on their jerseys to commemorate the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson, breaking the color barrier with Branch Rickey's 1947 Brooklyn Dodgers. Robinson had to endure tremendous racial prejudices so that many non-whites could play professional baseball, football, basketball, and track, etc. today. And also submitted by Gladwin Scott, Bjarnason receives Wheat Kings Award. Carson Bjarnason, age 16, backup goaltender for the Brandon Wheat Kings in the WHL, was the recipient of the McDonald's Most Community-Minded Player Award at their last home game. Carson, who's taken his grade 11 at Vincent Massey Collegiate, is quite active in his home community, Carberry. Some activities include involvement in I Love to Read Month and classroom visits, plus minor hockey activities. He also will participate in the annual potato truck pull for the cancer at the annual fair. Bjarnason, who stands 6'3" and enjoys basketball, said, "It's nice that people recognize the good things you do. It's the way I was brought up and raised, to give back to the people who helped me in the first place. It feels good, obviously." His late grandfather, Doug Matheson of Hamiota, would be very proud, as community involvement is a family characteristic. And continuing with sports, the Yellowhead Chiefs 2012 win AAA Hockey Challenge. Congratulations to the Yellowhead Chiefs, born in 2012, on a perfect weekend at the Source for Sports AAA Hockey Challenge. The Chiefs, who are made up of players from all across the Banner and Press readership area, went a perfect 4 wins, 0 losses, 0 ties at the round-robin portion of the tournament. The team would then go on to win the final 6-5 over the Manitoba Force. The Yellowhead Chiefs roster features, in numerical order, Cooper Ziprick, Huxley Taggart, Jace Peters, Wyatt Cochran, Ryden Derlego, Zane Jakubowski, Lucas Urivedo, Mason Stabileski, Kobe Tarrant, Trip Warburton, Remy Watson, Bridger Kent, Bo Bridges, and Emmett Bell. The coaching staff features head coach Pat Jakubowski and manager coaches Ryan and Andrea Smith. Hannah Funk's multi-sport exploits paying off. The Neepawa Collegiate student commits to Dakota College for hockey and softball. Submitted by Evan Devereaux. It has been a spectacular spring for Hannah Funk in more ways than one. Funk, who is from Arden, recently returned from Cornwall, Ontario, where she participated in the Canadian Broomball Nationals. Hannah was selected to play goaltender for Team Manitoba after having an impressive season between the pipes for the U Under-18 Neepawa Titans female hockey team. Her skills appear to have transitioned over the broom ball flawlessly, as she was twice named a game MVP and then awarded Team Manitoba's MVP honor for the entire tournament. This is not the first national sporting event for Hannah, as in 2018 she competed in the Canadian Softball Nationals. The following year, her club, which are based out of Brandon, would claim the provincial banner. The next challenge for Funk will be south of the border, as the soon-to-be Neepawa Collegiate graduate has committed to Dakota College in Bottineau for the fall. She will be a two-sport student, playing both hockey and softball for the athletics program. Funk said that she is excited about this new opportunity in North Dakota. It's that next step in my athletic pursuits, and I'm excited to be part of such a respected athletic program as Bottineau, stated Funk. It will be a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it. And Neepawa's team Tarek headed to the Under-18 Nationals. A team based out of the Neepawa Curling Club are headed to the Canadian Under-18 Nationals. The team, skipped by Zoe Tarek of McCreary, recently won the provincial title in Winnipeg. Along with Zoe, the team also consists of her sister Tessa Tarek at second, Cassidy Dundas at third, and Madison Sagaret as lead. Craig Tarek serves as the coach. The Under-18 Curling Championships are scheduled for Oakville, Ontario from May 1st to the 7th. A send-off party fundraiser has been planned for the Neepawa Curling Club on Friday, April 22nd from 7 to 10 p.m. All proceeds go towards team expenses to attend the Nationals. So good luck to them. And now we will turn to looking back 60 years ago on Friday, April 20th, 1962. The Neepawa Hospital Guild, a vital to the administration and care of the sick in our district, has a long and illustrious record of service and achievement. It held its first meeting on June 27, 1904, in the month following the official opening of the first Neepawa General Hospital. Until more recent years, the group was originally known as the Girls Auxiliary to the Women's Hospital Aid Society. The original purpose of the guild was to completely furnish the nurses' residence. For 58 years, this has been adhered to. And 50 years ago, April 20th, 1972, Neepawa Ford Mercury Sales will hold its former opening this Saturday, April 22nd, when the new owners will become on hand to greet visitors. The Ford dealership was taken over recently by Alex Monroe and J.A. Davy McDonald from Ron Schmidtke, who operated the business for the past year. Mr. Monroe is president of the new company and will be resident manager, while Mr. McDonald will remain, for the most part, on his farm near Portage la Prairie. Mrs. Irma Kramer, grandma to all her acquaintances, reached the grand old age of 100 years on April 5th. Her family honored her with a supper on April 1st, followed by a social evening at the home of her son, Carl, with whom she has resided for many years. 40 years ago, when that long, low wail of Neepawa's fire siren sounds again, former fire chief A.Y. Gillis knows he'll have a hard time not jumping out of his retirement chair again. A.Y., as he's affectionately known from here to Racine, Wisconsin, retired as a fireman on April 1st, 1982, after 25 full years of service in the volunteer fire department. Raised at St. Rose, Albin came to Neepawa in the fall of 1954. He joined the Neepawa Volunteer Fire Department on April 1st, 1957, at a friend's suggestion that he come to a brigade meeting and meet some of the boys around town. The latest winner in the great egg hunt was a winner. Laid by a Cornish giant hen, it weighed 4.1 ounces and measures 7 inches around the girth. The hen is owned by Helen Drysdale of rural Neepawa. And speaking of Helen Drysdale, I'm going to read her article out of Helen's Kitchen called Traveling Salesman. Before department stores, mail order catalogs, and motorized vehicles, there were peddlers who visited the farms and small towns to sell their wares. They traveled on foot with their wares on their backs or by horse and cart. Peddlers sold notions, razors, tobacco, hairbrushes, sewing supplies, household utensils, spices, liniments, and other medical remedies, to name a few. They filled a need in the remote homes. Many people, especially women, went to town very infrequently. Before the days of telephones and radios, it was a welcome break from the isolation to learn of news from the community. If mealtime was close at hand, the peddlers were usually invited to join in the meal for whatever was being served. In 1868, Mr. J.R. Watkins founded the Watkins Company and sold his Watkins liniment made with camphor and capsicum. It worked for the relief of muscle aches, soreness, and stiffness. Soon after Watkins began selling his liniment, he introduced a money-back guarantee, a first in North America. He made a glass bottle with a mark about 1/3 of the way down. That mark showed how much of the product a customer could use and still get a refund. On the bottle was a label saying, "If not fully satisfied, your money cheerfully refunded." Then came the Petrocarbo salve, a protective, soothing, healing, topical salve. The farmers loved it for their chapped hands and cow's udders. The Watkins man quickly became a household name. Never mind how rural or isolated you were, the Watkins man knew where you lived and visited with much desired products. For many years, Watkins was sold only by men. During World War II, Watkins dedicated 90% of its production to help with the war effect. They produced items such as dried eggs, powdered juice packets, vitamin tablets, adhesive tapes, and hospital disinfectant. As more and larger department stores, faster cars, and better roads came about, the number of Watkins salesmen began to decline. We no longer have a personal relationship with the clean-shaven Watkins salesman ready to show up and show us his wares. Watkins is still sold today, including the original liniment and salve. Gone are the days of traveling salesmen. We no longer have a need for the encyclopedia salesman who shamed parents into providing the best opportunities for a superior education for their children by buying these books of knowledge. I guess it worked in our household, as several of my siblings went on to get university educations. The door-to-door vacuum salesman with his superior cleaning, heavy-duty vacuum assured one that vacuuming would become sheer joy with so little effort. The raw-eyed traveler sold many bottles of blow-dees and horse tonic to the farmer, and many bottles of extracts to the missus. To keep your house as clean as your neighbor's, your needs were met by the Fuller Bushman. The company was started by a Canadian who learned what housewives needed and created a vast number of brushes for specific uses around the home. The company slogan, 45 brushes, 69 uses, head to foot, cellar to attic. In the good old days, many men spent their lives on the road, earning their living in the challenging weather, chased by dogs and harassed by people. Those days are gone, as well as the traveling salesman and the farmer's daughter jokes that once were so popular. The convenience from shopping at home with a salesman now comes from Amazon and other internet companies. The first recipe comes from the 1938 Watkins cookbook, and the second one is a gluten-free one that Helen likes to make. And it's in the paper. There's the Watkins applesauce cake, and she's also submitted gluten-free honey applesauce cake. And we'll just go back a little to the looking back from 100 years ago. A plot to suffocate miners at Caledonia Colliery, Nova Scotia, is being investigated. Geofrost is wearing a smile that won't come off, and we join with the community in offering our congratulations and wishing him and his bride bon voyage through life. 90 years ago, from Brookdale, William Dixon returned from Winnipeg Thursday, bringing with him an assistant to take over the work in the blacksmith shop. We are very sorry to learn that Mr. Dixon will be under the doctor's care for at least 6 months. And 80 years ago, Thursday, April 23rd, 1942, the almost sudden passing of Helen Mitchell, 49, widow of the late Cecil Brooker of Neepawa, early Monday morning in Neepawa General Hospital, came as a great shock to the family and community. She had been in indifferent health for the past 2 years, but her passing came unexpectedly. Born at Portage la Prairie, Manitoba, November 1st, 1892, she received her education there. Following her marriage to Cecil Brooker of the same place in 1912, they came to Neepawa, where Mr. Brooker took over the management of the moving picture theater for a time, before engaging in the restaurant business. He died in 1931, and since that time, Mrs. Brooker continued to carry on the business until her death. A party from Kelwood was recently fined in the city for cruelty to animals. It might be worthwhile inspecting some of the transports that pass through town, and it is quite possible that the findings may be in favor of the law. It is well known that cruelty to animals is shown by truckers right here in the vicinity, like sardines in a truck near the CNR constantly in all kinds of weather. Such a squawk was made about leaving cattle on 3rd Street and annoying residents that the cargo was moved to the west end of town. Conclusion: men who have no respect for his neighbors must not be capable of showing very much consideration for dumb animals which cannot talk back. And 70 years ago, on April 24th, 1952, the official opening of the Osborne Home for Senior Citizens will be held on Thursday afternoon, May 1st at 2:30 p.m. And that is the Neepawa Banner and Press for Friday, April 22nd, 2022.